What's up, party people? We are back with yet another episode of Here's My Number. This is a big week for us, a very, very big week, and it will get even bigger with today's guest. And we've been very excited, right, Olivia?
Yes, I have been counting down the days until this episode for maybe like 2 months now. Whatever. If you know anything about anything, you will recognize today's guest from our very own Bachelor Nation. If you don't, then you should probably get with it. Today we are welcoming Sydney Lotuaco. I said that right?
You said it right.
Oh, amazing.
Very good job.
So, Sydney, thank you so much for coming. I am so excited to have you. And I cannot wait to get in with everything today.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot coming at me, but thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yes, it is. Let's start, I guess, with having you kind of introduce yourself, a little bit where you are, what you do, and that kind of stuff for the people that don't know.
Yeah, so I was on season 23 of The Bachelor, which was Colton's season. I think it was like a couple seasons ago. And then I was on season 6 of Bachelor in Paradise. Before that, I was dancing for the Knicks. So I used to live in New York City. I was a professional dancer for them. And then recently moved to Los Angeles, where I was dancing as well and danced a little bit on tour right before quarantine happened. And now we're going to talk about this, but I'm in Ohio at my boyfriend's who I met in quarantine.
Wow.
So it's a little bit about
Thanks,
me.
COVID.
Right.
Like
One good thing that happened in 2020.
Yeah, legit.
Right, we try.
Yeah, someone's got to do it. Someone's going to have good shit coming their way. Okay, do you want to kick it off with the first question, Leah?
Sure. I feel like you said that so casually that you were like a what? An NBA dancer? Like I'm confused, excuse me. So how did you go from being an NBA dancer to suddenly coming on The Bachelor? Or I don't know if it was suddenly.
Yeah, it was pretty sudden actually. I think I knew a week before I left for the show, so it was pretty sudden.
Oh my God.
But I was dancing for the Knicks. That would have been my third season. I had been dancing my whole life. I was in New York for a while, and I had a friend from the Knicks who someone had submitted her for The Bachelor, and then she just recently got in a relationship. I think we were at like audition week or something, and she knew I was very single, and she knew that Bachelor was coming to town because it was when things were open and they could have open calls.
Mhm.
So they're having an open call like the following week. And then me being a dancer, I'm used to going to all random auditions at all times. You never know what you're going to be doing on a random Thursday. So I happen to have Thursday free. And I was like, you know what, whatever, let's go and see what this is. I was kind of a fan of the show, I wasn't religious about it. I just thought it'd be kind of funny to go and see what it would be like.
Yeah.
So I went with a friend and it was wild. There was a line like around the block. All of the super fans were there. Everyone was so excited. They had like cameras there. I have no idea what they used that footage for. All kinds of stuff. And then you go into like a room, you have a packet with like a bunch of photos of yourself and a whole packet talking about your dating life. And then you show up and they ask you like 5 questions on camera and then you're good to go. So I did my 5 questions or whatever it was, and then I left the building and thought like that, oh, that was cool. We'll probably never hear back from them. And immediately got a phone call as I was walking away from the building, and it was an LA number, and I was like, hello? And it was someone from casting. They're like, hi, you were just here, but your microphone wasn't working, so could you please come back? We'll take you to the front, and we'll just redo your interview. And I was like, okay, cool. So I come back in, redo my interview, and then they set me up with like a bigger camera, and there's like 6 more people around my camera, and they're all asking me all these questions.
Oh
and I was
my
like, you
God.
lied.
I was just going to say, were they lying?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it was weird. So from there, my friend and I, she was actually my coach on the team with me on the Knicks. So she and I both made it to like the next round of auditions. So they slipped us this like big giant manila folder of all the things that we had to fill out, and they're like, hey, put this under your jacket and just like sneak out of here. Don't show anyone you have this. And we're like, what is this?
Oh my God.
So that was us going to the next round, and from there you have like all types of interviews. You have to send like 50 photos of yourself, crazy packets you have to fill out, and then eventually, after all that and a lot of stress, you eventually hear yes or no if you're going to be on the show. And like I said, I heard literally a week before I had to leave. And for me, my case because Dancing for the Knicks, it couldn't really keep Dancing for the Knicks and go on national television and potentially tarnish Madison Square Garden's name. So I had to either stay or quit my job. And obviously, I made the hard decision to quit Dancing for
Yeah.
the Knicks in order to go on the show. So that's kind of how I
Holy
ended
shit.
up there.
That's like a big ask to figure out in a week. That would take me a year. To
I
figure
know.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Wait.
I
So
was
how long
panicking.
was the process?
So I found out like I wouldn't say like a week and like maybe a couple days that I got it, and then I had to tell my work by that weekend whether I was going to stay or go on the show. So then I had to make that decision, and then also you have to pack for the entire time that you're going to be there.
Yeah. Is
So
it
you
true
pack, like,
that
ball gowns and
is it true that you
and
can
it-
only bring 2 suitcases? I heard that you're only
Yeah.
allowed to bring 2.
yeah, you can only bring 2, which is super fun to figure out, especially because you don't know what weather you're gonna be doing. My season, I was lucky because we were all in warm temperatures, so I didn't have to pack like parkas or anything. But other people, I'm sure they have to pack like snow boots and random things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, it's kind of random. Also, you don't know if you're gonna be there for a day or like 3 months. So
Oh my
it's just kind of stressful. So I made my mom come up to New York and help me figure out packing because I was like, I literally can't do this. I'm like having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
I'm quitting my job. I'm trying to pack. Like it's a lot. So
I'm going on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
I'm going on TV,
That-
hopefully.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
And
a
like,
lot.
do you get to have more suitcases the longer you make it, or you just dead ass have to wear the same clothes for 3 months?
You dead ass have to wear the same clothes, but then eventually people just start like sharing or swapping.
Because I feel like
outfits,
I've
so you get-
never. I am a religious Bachelor watcher, obviously, and I feel like you never see people repeat clothes.
Yeah.
You don't. People come on really prepared. I was not as prepared as I would have liked to have been. Those pageant girls really have a step ahead of you with gowns. Yeah, you just kind of have to make it work and then make enough friends to borrow clothes eventually because they don't really show. Like if you're wearing the same dress from someone's like night 2, you're not gonna necessarily remember that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Right. Oh my god.
sorry, my garage door is opening.
Oh no,
It's
you're
okay.
good.
Okay.
I feel like I have so many questions already. I'm like,
I know it's like it's a lot to process, so I can't even imagine what it's like to actually be on it. So then you get there, and I don't remember like all the different places that Colton season went, but tell us a little bit about like what it's like when you first get there and like that kind of
a day in the life.
a day in the life of someone on the show.
So you show up in LA and they take your phone right away, and you have like a good 4 days in the hotel where you don't meet anyone. You just have randomly producers will come by your room to kind of say hi and get you prepped. They'll do random interviews, like pre-show stuff, and you're just kind of, other than that, you're just sitting in your room waiting for room service at some point because you can't leave. It's just not a lot. It's kind of, you kind of go a little insane just within the first 3 days, and then by like day 4, it's time to go to the mansion. And you still haven't met anyone, and you have to wait until like 8 p.m. because they don't start filming until it's dark. So you're just sitting in your room in your dress, like, all right, let's do this. You don't know what limo you are necessarily, and just kind of like show up. So you go from a day of just
freaking
being like essentially quarantined and by yourself, or a few days of that, and then they just throw you into it, and then the cameras are there, and then the whole thing kind of just starts as soon as you step out of the limo.
You're just like thrown into it.
Yeah.
I would have a mental
I
breakdown.
know.
Like just
what they
going out to
want.
get drinks. I don't know what
Yeah,
to wear.
that's what
like,
they want. They want you to have a mental breakdown, right?
Yeah, exactly.
They're
I mean,
like-
with night 1, they have people coming by, making sure that you're not wearing the same thing as someone else. You have like a different color from other people, so they do that as well. Like, so you have that. But
That's nice.
but like
other
you
than
guys
that, there's
don't
not a lot of prep.
you guys don't get your makeup done, like anything like that.
That only for night 1 did they help us with makeup, but
Okay.
you kind of do your own, and they just like touch you up. So that was the only time that we got our hair and makeup done. The whole time.
Oh my
Damn.
god.
Because they always
Yes.
look perfect. That's the part that like I'm
Yeah.
always so confused about. I'm like, if I had to go and do my own makeup, I would look like a troll on television. Like I would never be able to do that.
Just get sent
Well, I-
home.
I
was
would be like, not
lucky.
you.
I was lucky because I had the Knicks background, so I knew from doing my own makeup for that. But some people struggle, and they kind of have to ask their friends. But you also get pretty much almost all day to get ready, so you have a lot of time to figure it out.
Figure it out.
Is there a lot of downtime? Like,
Yeah, like more downtime than you can even imagine. Like
Yeah,
most
that's
of it is downtime because when you're not on a date, you're just in the hotel, and you're not like, it's not like you can go down to the spa or the gym by yourself. You have
Right.
to just sit in the hotel
Yeah.
until like
Tell you
maybe
to
do
do
an
something.
interview, or
Yeah.
you can beg them to go to the gym and they'll take you for 20 minutes and then that's it. So it's a lot of downtime.
Oh
Damn.
my God.
Love
And
that.
you were there for how long?
I was there for a month because I was like final 10. So it was a good chunk of time for sure.
And does it become like more chill throughout the season? Like, do you guys like get to hang out, or is it very much like separated? Like you're in each your own room.
It's separated a lot from the back, but it is really chill because by then you become friends with people. So you're kind of just hanging out with your friends, and you even become friends with the producer. So everyone just kind of, it's a lot of hanging out and it's super fun. A lot of like memories happen. But it's a lot of, you're never really around the Bachelor that much unless you have like a one-on-one, or you get, I think, further along in the show and there's like, it gets more serious.
Yeah, I feel like, and we'll get to Tasia's season, but I feel like before Tasia was there and all the boys were there for Claire, like it literally just seemed like all the dudes were there to hang out with each other. Like they were having so much fun, like in the pool and doing all these things. I was like, they're just there because they're having like such a good fucking time.
Bro time.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I mean, because you don't have your phones or TV or anything, so you're just kind of forced to talk to each other and you get like really close really quickly.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh my God,
That's so fun.
that's so wild. I cannot even imagine.
I know.
Yeah, it's an interesting like bubble that you're thrown into.
Yeah, it's like a whole different world. Okay, let's keep moving. Do you want to ask the next one? You want me to?
So if you have been watching The Bachelor, you would know that you left the show. Could you elaborate on how and when and why and all of that?
Also, let's say that that's such a bad bitch move. Like,
Oh my God,
you were just
yeah.
like, Colton, I need more from you. I'm not feeling this. Peace the fuck out. Where I feel like other people, like, it's like almost, you know, the drinking game where it's like, how many episodes or like how many minutes until we have to hear someone be like, you're not here for the right reasons. Like, or like how many times do you hear that throughout the show? And I just appreciate you and what you did so much because that was such a cool
For actually
move.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for being like,
So I
not-
feel like
it's
most
not you.
people would just like stick around with
yeah,
it.
agreed.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm not a person that's easily able to fake things, or I literally can't fake things at all. So with Colton, he was nice and that was pretty much it for me. So a lot of our conversations were like just very surface level and not a lot of depth to them, just because I don't think he just really didn't like me. So whether he has that depth or not, like he didn't show it to me. Also that I went on the show and I hadn't had a relationship before. So if Colton and I were to end up together, he would have been my first relationship. So I was taking that super seriously, and I had spent so much of my life focusing on my career and myself and just separating that part of my life. And this was my time to kind of really focus on, one, could this be something that I could see myself with? And like, two, could I take this relationship outside of this bubble that we're in? And I was one that tried to push him a lot, because I feel a lot of the girls were just like, oh, I love him, he's great and he's so cute and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that, yeah, okay, but I'm gonna have to take him to my family. I'm not gonna be able to like lie to them. So
Yeah.
Right.
I was like trying to push him. I tried to like get more out of him, and every time I would just be like, oh, that was lackluster, or that wasn't enough, or like I didn't get anything from that conversation. And you only have like 15 to 20-minute intervals with him when you're on the group dates. So I was like, get in there and try to like find something from him, but I really didn't get much. So that when you saw me leave, I was kind of at my wit's end with doing that. And that night I think it was like right before hometowns were about to happen. So I knew in the back of my mind that I didn't really know him well, and that if I were to take him home, he would be the first person that my parents would have met as a relationship. So that would have been weird. So then I was like, I don't think I can get there, but let's see if I push him like one more time, if he'll get there for me and can like kind of prove that he's having those feelings for me. And I put that all on the table, and he gave me another lackluster answer. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So that was my answer. I got it. I can't be here anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get any more out of this. We're going to keep spinning our wheels here. So I'm going to make my choice and I'm going to leave. So that was kind of my mindset around me walking off the show.
I think
Bad
that's,
ass.
It's so cool.
Thank you
because
and goodbye.
I think my other question is like, do you really, because I know on like maybe one-on-one dates you have more time, but like people aren't getting one-on-one dates every week. So it's always like a little confusing to me for people, especially like 2 weeks in, to be like, this is my person. Like, I'm obsessed with them. So, like,
Yeah.
do you feel like it is enough time to really get to know someone on the level of, like, I know in his season 2, Cassie was like, I can't get engaged to you. I don't, like,
Yeah.
I'm not ready for that. Do you feel like,
Is it
What are your-
realistic or is it a TV show?
yeah.
I think it is realistic in some ways. I think it depends on the person. Like
Mhm.
if my actual boyfriend who I'm with now was there and he was the bachelor and I met him for 5 minutes, I would have been like, oh yeah, I could get married. You know, like,
Yeah.
that would have been different for me. But because it was Colton and we weren't really getting any of that, I couldn't have gotten there. But I think, yeah, it depends on the person and kind of what you make out of the time that you have.
Mhm.
That's why you see on the show where they like jump and they're like, here's my deepest, darkest secret that I've ever told anyone. I'm going to tell
Yes.
you on this first date that we're having, because that's the one time that you have. So that's why they get like so deep so
Mhm.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that has a lot to do with it. And just the fact that you are in a bubble, things can kind of move a lot faster. It all depends on like the situation, the people that are involved, though.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, my parents are always like, when you know, you know. You
Yeah.
know? It's like when you, whatever. And so I feel like maybe that's kind of what The Bachelor is. But
And
like,
then I think there is a thing too of people kind of telling themselves what they think they should be, you know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
convincing themselves.
And
Yeah.
when you're only in that little bubble, I can
or
just
if you
imagine
like
how
quit
it
your
is.
job and now you're on this TV show, you feel like
Yeah.
you have to make it work.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
can
You put
imagine
a lot of
that's-
pressure on it. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
there's that element too.
So
it just
I
sounds
don't-
like a really stressful 3 months, and I'm not
lot.
sure if I'd be
It's a
able to
lot.
do that.
well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we will get to that. Okay. When we say best and worst part of the show, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Best and worst part of the show. Best thing is the friendships and the relationships that you build. Worst part is the just like no privacy and no downtime and no sleep. Or there's a lot of downtime, but no like away from the situation. There's no like leaving the
Escape,
Bachelor,
yeah.
unless you like actually leave the show. So, yeah.
Would you ever recommend someone to go on the show like
Not,
us?
not me. Not me.
I was gonna
Her.
say, one of you applying? I think-
Leah, not me.
I wouldn't say I'm
think-
applying, but
I would say if you're super open to interesting situations, if you can handle a lot of stress and pressure, then yes. But I just think that it's not all like sunshine and roses as it seems. Like, just
Yeah.
be clear on that when you're going in. So I think people go on and they think, oh, Instagram followers and traveling and blah, blah, blah. But it can be a lot on your mental states and a lot of weird things from it. So
how
Are you satisfied with that answer?
I am, but I feel like I have more. I like need to know all of this. Do you have any regrets that you went on the show, or are you like, this was the right thing for me at that time?
No, I don't have any regrets at all. I would say the thing I would have done differently, maybe, but then it's like hard to say because of who my bachelor was. Like, maybe I would have been a little bit more outspoken and trusted that I was able to have like conflict within the show, because that kind of freaked me out to go against people. But now looking back, I'm like, oh, I would have been fine if I had gotten into a quarrel with someone or something like that. But I think you didn't see a ton of me because of the fact that my relationship with Colton wasn't very strong. So I think that ultimately has like a lot to do with everything. So.
Gotcha.
If you could have had any other Bachelor, who would you have wanted?
At the time, I had wanted it to be Blake, but I met Blake in.
You changed your mind.
I changed my mind.
He is so cute, though.
Never mind.
He's super cute, and I love him like as a friend and everything. But that wouldn't have worked out either. I also wanted Jason, so I would have been fine with either Blake or Jason. I feel like as bachelors, just really anyone that would have just like challenged me a little bit more.
Yeah. Anyone with some
I've
depth.
appreciated.
Just kidding. That was
Yeah.
mean. That was mean, Colin. If you ever listen to this.
Yeah,
Speaking
we're
of
sorry.
Colton, I'm sorry, I have so many questions. So obviously, there's been rumors about him being not a great kisser. Is that true?
I think I started that rumor.
Oh.
Again, I just think he didn't like me, and I feel bad that we were just having like beach talk around the campfire in Paradise, and that kind of slipped out. But I kind of joked about it, and then like 5 other girls were like, "Oh my god, I was gonna say the same thing." So
Oh
I
my
was
god,
like,
you
"Oops."
really were the one that started that.
Yeah,
I didn't
oops.
even know that.
That's so
It
funny.
was more just like a lack of passion, I think.
Oh,
is
that's
the
the
best way to
worst.
describe
Just
it.
like a fish.
But again, he didn't like me, so that's,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe he gave better kisses to Cassie. Hopefully.
I hope so for her sake.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any more Bachelor questions, or can we move on to this season super quick? Because I just want to touch on it.
last question. How has your life changed since The Bachelor? Like, since you walked off the show?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of interesting things have happened. I decided to move to LA from New York, kind of just like uprooted my life. I did go on tour for Bachelor Live on Stage for a hot sec. So that was super fun. Just like cool experiences kind of happened from it, and like really cool friendships. Like I became really close with Becca Kufrin and Ben Higgins from doing the tour. Just things like that. And it's kind of giving me a new perspective on just like career and what I could be doing with my life and things like that. So
I love it. You go. Good for you.
Thanks.
And you just made an appearance. Well, I guess when people hear this, it won't be just, but you were just on this season with Tasia, and that was so fun to watch you do that. And that whole group date was just fun. Do you have any favorites on this season so far? And then I'll tell you who I like.
Yeah, I really love Ivan. I love Ben. I love Brendan. I loved Easy just as a friend in the house. I'm actually I think Bennett's hilarious, even though he's really pushing some.
He's a lot. I don't know what his deal is, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, I would just say this season overall, it's just been like a breath of fresh air with the men they've chosen and how that they're older and they're more mature. I think the show was going into like a really young place the last couple of seasons, and now they're kind of shifting, and I really appreciate that. I think that's really good to watch, and it's like it makes it a little bit more investing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like more mature. And I will say that Tasia has been like my favorite person so far to like be in this role. She's just so fucking cool and like so normal. But I love Zach and I love Ben. Like I don't even want her to end up with Ben because I hope that like one day that I can. That's how much I like him. He's so cute.
I like.
So cute.
Is the name Riley? Something with R.
Riley is a lawyer, right?
Yeah. Him.
Oh, he gives me bad energy.
No, I like him, and I like
bad's
Easy.
gonna happen with him. I feel like next week.
Yeah, he gives me a bad vibe. He's just
fine. I'll take him.
He was on the date that I helped with, and he's just kind of like quiet and shy. So I feel like that's where the weird vibe comes from.
Yeah.
He's kind of like a little bit out of his element as a lawyer and just kind of quiet, but something will happen, I feel like, next week.
Yeah, and he like got wicked mad at Noah last week, I guess, when Noah like fucked up the rose ceremony for everyone. I was like, ooh,
oh yeah,
temper.
He also
spicy.
was like throwing elbows during one of the dates to Spencer that I thought was a little aggressive too. When like water basketball or whatever they were playing.
Yes.
All right.
Like a
Okay.
little
He has an aggressive vibe to him,
maybe
but it's
I'm in the
okay.
wrong.
Maybe that's your type.
You're the one that usually likes the shitty guys.
Fair enough. Okay. With the time we have left, I would love to just get more about like you and your life. And I think we've had a very similar quarantine experience, but yours has been more successful in terms of dating.
Way more.
What'd you say?
Way more.
Way more, yeah. So let's start by kind of talking about how you and your boyfriend connected and all that cute stuff.
Cute. So I was, like I said, I was on tour and COVID happened and the world kind of got shut down. And I was like, well, shit, now what do I do? Do I go back to LA? Do I go back to, I'm originally from Virginia and just kind of hang out with my parents. I thought I was going to be off tour for a week and I ended up being off tour for a very extended period of time. So I was at home, I was bored, I was on my phone a lot. And my current boyfriend, we connected via Instagram. He was kind of a fan of the show Low Key. And he'd watched a few seasons and he'd watched my season and he would just kind of randomly reach out to me because he followed me from after the show. And I would answer him usually. I usually try to answer almost everyone that DMs me, just unless it's like weird or creepy.
Oh my God.
Just because I feel like if I was on the other side, I'd kind of want the same thing. So he DM'd me and he would always respond. I would always put up like question stickers because I thought that was fun. And he would send me really ridiculous questions. So he was always like cool and funny. And then it wasn't until quarantine where we had a back and forth kind of for a couple of days. And I was like, who am I talking to? So I looked at
this guy.
and I was like, oh, he's actually like a cute guy that's actually my age. Because normally it's not that case when you're talking to people. So we kept kind of talking. It was a couple days went by with DMing, and then he kind of put the ball in my court and threw me his number and told me to text him if I was ever in Ohio, and if I wanted to talk more. So I kind of just took that, and I was like, you know what, I want to keep this going. I've had a good conversation with him. So I text him, and then texting turns into FaceTiming, and FaceTiming turns into us 3 months of doing that, and me being like, oh, well, I've kind of weirdly built a relationship over these 3 months over the phone, and now I feel like we need to meet in person, otherwise we can't keep going on like this. So I think after like 3 or 4 months of talking, we decided to meet in person, like hoped for the best that it would be the same. So I flew to Ohio, and then he was going to drive me home to Virginia so I could like quarantine away from my family and do that whole thing, COVID and stuff. So luckily it was really great in person, shockingly, because I was a little nervous about that. And then we kind of just started dating officially from there. We were going to do this whole long distance thing. And eventually I was going to go back to LA when the world started opening up a little bit. But
we're not even there yet. So
no, we're still not there. I was supposed to go back in September because my lease was going to be up and I was going to like get a new apartment. Then I was like, you know what? Screw it. LA's really not open, especially not right now. Why would I go back and not be able to work or do anything? I was already staying with him for like a month in Ohio. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of low key move in for a sec and move all my stuff here and we'll figure it out. But so yeah, I'm currently in Ohio living with my boyfriend who I've been dating since, I guess, technically March, but officially probably like July.
Oh, that's nuts. So you guys were talking, you were FaceTiming consistently for 3 to 4 months.
Yes, which I will say, even though people think that's super weird and that we like didn't meet in person, that we didn't know each other, but I got to know him way faster than I did any other person I've dated, because we literally had to just talk at all times. Like there was no stopping for like the physical aspect of anything. Like you couldn't touch, you couldn't hug, you can kiss, you can do anything. So it was a lot of just like getting to know each other. It was essentially like being in The Bachelor, where it's just like a bubble and you just talk and you like, get to know like the people. So I really liked that side of him, and I think we like really connected a lot very quickly because of that. So that kind of worked for me, so that when we were in person, when we did get the physicality out of the way, it was like a deeper connection. But yeah, it's an interesting way to kind of date.
Yeah. I mean, I tried it, and people who listen to this podcast will know who I'm talking about. We call him London Boy, but I only FaceTimed him 2 or like 3 times, only 2 or 3 times. And then he flew here and he stayed for a week. And by the end of it, I was like, holy fuck, like, get out of my space. Like, whatever.
Do you have an accent?
No, so he's not actually from London, but he's actually from Arizona. So he flew here from there. But that's why I was so curious, like how long you were talking before you were like, this might be a good idea to like, whatever. Because I guess at that point, they're not essentially a stranger.
Yeah, you like
knew him really, really well by that point. So I don't recommend doing it after like 2 weeks, unless you're like close by and you can kind of like meet up. That's different. But like if you're in different states, I would give it some time to really get to know them, because then it's like it's disappointing if you get in person, it's not the same thing. So you want to make sure that's like
fully disappointing.
Shit, that's so impressive. That's such a cute story.
It is.
It was super cute.
2020, something good
It's
happened.
like a true COVID story.
Yeah,
it was
a
my
love
silver
story.
lining.
Yeah, that's so nice. Better than the rest of us. What was I gonna say? So the first time you met, like, was it awkward at all? Was it weird? Like, I feel like there's so much. I feel like even with work right now, like, there's so many coworkers that I've never met in real life because it's just behind a screen. And so when I do finally get to meet them, it's so interesting to see like their mannerisms or their body language that you wouldn't normally. You're like, how they chew is a huge one for me. Like, what if they chew with their mouth open after 3 or 4 months? Like, what are you supposed to do?
That's a good
Fix
point.
that.
We kind of agreed between each other. We were like, we're not going to make this weird when we meet in person. And he was like super respectful, because I was nervous about it too, because I'm flying to a stranger's home that I know him, but I'm not trying to get murdered real quick. So yeah, he was super like cognizant of that, and he was like, if listen, if it doesn't work out and you get here and you're like, I don't like him, you can go in the other room and you can sleep there, and then I'll let you go home, or you could stay at my parents or I could get you a hotel. Like all these, like he kind of like set that up. So if I wasn't comfortable, I could have gotten out. And in person, we were like, okay, we're just going to kiss right away. So we kind of get that out of the way. So it's not like awkward.
We're just going to rip it off like right like a
Yeah,
band-aid.
just rip off the banding because otherwise it's like, when do we do that? So yeah, we just kind of just like talked about it essentially. And it was,
Oh my God.
it was great in person. But it is interesting. It's like weird seeing someone from a screen. Then you're like, oh my God, like it's so weird sitting next to you and like being able to hold your hand. It was like interesting to kind of like figure out each other's, I don't know, being around another body. But yeah.
That's so
that should be a
intimidating.
show in itself.
Yeah, I mean, Love is Blind is kind of like that.
I guess so.
Or
Only-
what's it, 90 Day Fiance?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That shit's crazy.
That's a whole other-
yeah,
That's a lot.
That's intense. I was gonna ask you tips on making long distance work, but I feel like you had to even cross that battle yet?
I do have tips, but I didn't necessarily need to use them because I was like planning to do long distance.
Okay, well, give
so
us
I
your
asked
tips
a lot
anyway.
of people about it, and a lot of the things they said was one of the cute things that they said was to keep a journal between each other. So I sent him a journal that I had written like a passage, essentially like love letters that you're sending back and forth, but you just share this journal. So I wrote in the journal and then I sent it to his house. And then he wrote in it, and the next time he saw me, he brought the journal. So you kind of like pass it back and forth, which
that's
was
so
really
cute.
cute. People said some interesting things like they wanted to feel like they were sleeping with each other, so they had like a burner phone that they kept on all night. I don't know about that, but
That's so.
and some other people said like sharing a Google Calendar with your events. So if like you get super busy and like you can't answer the phone as much, the person can kind of like see that. So things like that, just to kind of make it.
I feel like you
work
need
in the
that
same
for
age.
me.
Oh,
I need you to share your Google Calendar with me. Those are really cute ones, and like, oh, it's not what I was
No.
expecting you to say. I was expecting like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what I was
Don't get that
expecting.
angry. Stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, those are so cute.
I
Maybe
know.
one day.
And I like, I feel like
Make it
long
work.
distance doesn't necessarily have to be like seen as a negative thing. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
think it's
you-
just both sides agreeing to work at it because if one is not going to do more than the other, it won't. I don't think it'll work, but I think you can definitely make it work
Oh my
if you have
gosh.
that like agreement.
I love that. So
A
do you think
happy
you're
ending?
I know. Do you think you're in Ohio for the foreseeable future? Or do you guys think like, or have you not even thought that far ahead? Because like
I
Ohio's such a
mean,
random.
It's so random.
I
'Cause
love-
I'm used to New York and LA
Yeah.
and like go get
Before
her in
you were
like
like,
city.
when he slid in, you were like, if you're ever in Ohio, and in my head I was like,
I
why
know.
would anyone go to Ohio?
Exactly, like the last place I'd ever expect myself. But honestly, where I'm at right now, I'm like the world is shut down. It's
Yeah.
there's like I can go outside here, and I'm doing most of my work virtually now. So I'm like, you know what, for now it's working. Who knows what's gonna happen down the road? But right now it makes sense. I'm in like a house and I can spread out and do my own thing. So yeah,
I love it. Being present.
yeah.
We can't really do
exactly, not-
anything else in 2020, really.
Exactly.
Especially not here.
Yeah.
I love that. So would you give any advice to someone who is afraid to start like virtually dating? I think that's probably going to be a way more normalized thing, even when COVID's over, if that happens. But I know that so many people are like afraid to like meet a stranger on FaceTime because it is weird.
Like the first
weird.
virtual date.
Yeah.
Like, do you get
But you know what's
ready?
weirder is
Do-
meeting someone in person that you've never met too, and
Yeah.
just being stuck in someone. So it's all weird.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I would just say like be open to it because you really never know. And for me, like I said, like because that physical part of it was taken out of it, I was kind of forced to get to know him as a human being and really like figure out if this person is someone I can connect with and like be with. And usually I feel like when you're dating, like you're just like waiting until you guys do it essentially. So
Yeah.
it's like that was taken out of it. So I could just really like focus on him as a human being and get like to know his core values and like who he was. So for me, that helped me to kind of connect with him a lot quicker and deeper. So advice, I would say, like I said, just be open and use that to really see if that person could be someone that you could see yourself with.
I'm with it.
Beautiful.
Your
have-
turn to go on a virtual date.
Yeah.
Bitch, what? I already went on one and it ended terribly.
Yeah.
I tried it. You try it next. I've been watching a lot of. Do you know who Serena Kerrigan is?
No, who's that?
She's like started this show basically in quarantine where she goes on Instagram live dates.
Oh, I actually did see that at the beginning of quarantine. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, well, it's like really
they're fun.
Yeah, they're fun.
It
And
took off.
It took off big time, but that's like where I was like, okay, if she can do it, I can just
Yeah. Did she find anyone?
No. Yeah, I don't think. The season finale is tonight.
Oh.
Season finale, like her Instagram live.
Finale.
She's not going to go on Instagram live anymore.
She gets engaged on Instagram.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll see. I don't know what will happen, but that's just like what it reminds me of. And my advice to people would be to watch her because I feel like she teaches you how to do it
in a natural way.
Yeah.
And it's also like this is the new reality, you know what I mean? Like this is the new normal. We might as well just like roll with it until the world one day will open up again. TBD again.
Exactly. I mean, some people were like, you could plan dates and do that, but we just kind of talked. But like, I think that's something that you could do too. If like you feel weird about just like talking to someone, like have like a plan where you're going to sit and I don't know, there's that like Netflix party. We can watch the same movie or
oh my God,
play games or something like that where you can kind of have an activity. But
like we're not really strangers. That would be cute. The little game.
Yeah. That's an intense one to do on a date, but
it might be third or fourth date, you know,
when you're married. What was I just gonna say? I had something important to say about virtual dating.
It was a game you were about to mention.
Oh no, what I was gonna say is I feel like that says a lot about you and your boyfriend's connection of like just being able to sit there and talk. I think so many people are afraid to just do that and to be able to like sit in that. People need to like learn how to do that more.
Yeah, because we weren't talking constantly. A lot of times it would just be like staring at each other. But yeah, just being comfortable with just like less, I guess, and just silence will happen. But doesn't mean like you don't have a connection. It just means like you ran out of a topic. Like, take a second, find something else. Yeah,
you can do what I do.
Put so much pressure on.
What do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about now?
Next topic.
That always works. Okay. Do you want to wrap it up? Or do you have any more questions?
Are we at? I mean, I could keep asking questions about The Bachelor all day, but I think I'll go through the notes in my head and then we'll maybe send more questions.
Okay.
But Sydney, thank you so much for coming. This was so wonderful to finally meet you.
I know.
We've literally been so excited.
Sad it's over. I know as soon as you hang up, I'm going to be like, God damn it. I wish I asked that question, but
I know.
It's okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been so informational and so fun.
And you will see Olivia on The Bachelor next season.
Yep. Don't get it twisted. No, never. I don't have the emotional capacity.
If they choose me, I will do it.
Yeah, I don't have the emotional capacity to do that. And I don't think I'd be brave enough to quit my job like you guys.
All right. Well, before we bounce, thank you so much to Gotham Podcast Studio, where we are right now.
Yeah.
We're not at home in our beds, upgraded. And please like, subscribe, follow along. We really appreciate it. Peace, love, blessings. Bye.